What's up? How is the Legion of Comic Collectors doing tonight? Welcome to another episode of Fanboys Live in the Retro Review, the greatest DC Comics show on YouTube. I am the host for tonight. I am Tim the Comic Collector, and I'm joined by my two buddies and fellow DC Comics enthusiast. Sorry, I ain't going to be able to say that word. Comic Fu 2814 and Magic Lasso. What's up, gentlemen?
Nice to be with you.
How's it going?
Too late at night for big words.
Hey, I used to have a problem for the longest time. You know how there's like a common word that some people just can't say? For me,
Yeah.
I can say it now, but for the longest time, I had the hardest time with jewelry.
Really?
And if you notice, anytime I say jewelry, I say it a little bit slower. Jewelry.
That second word there was what I was going to say, but after dealing with kids,
Enthusiast.
my mind can't process that word.
Enthusiast.
Enthusiast.
Yep.
We also had Warlord. We need to have him on and do a Batman Beyond episode. And I actually almost forgot my book show and grabbed something Batman Beyond theme because I saw him in the chat. We got Tony, who I think we all forgot might not be making it. And of course, Christy, what is up?
I thought the deal with Tony was when he hit that 500 subs, he said, I'm big time now.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, I'm not hanging with you guys.
Numbers and they're gone.
Yep.
Yeah. So, what's up, gentlemen? Anything happened this week? Any news?
I bought another, like I needed to. I bought another Wonder Woman variant that went on sale today. This one is going to be a C2E2 exclusive. And why I'm able to buy it, since C2E2 hasn't started yet, is totally beyond me, but I've been able to buy it today.
I thought C2E2 was like at the beginning of the year, like one of the first cons.
And then what happened is they actually had a C2E2 last year, right before everything shut down before COVID.
Yeah.
But what happened was, I think they wanted to be able to say that they had a con every year and didn't have to miss a year. So it's December for 2021. They had one in 2020. It's December for 2021, and the 2022 is going to be in August, I believe, August in Chicago is going to be hot. But December in Chicago December in Chicago could be much worse with weather conditions.
Oh, yeah, I remember, I think it was last winter. We had like a couple inches here, and my dad had to travel to Chicago for work, and he's sending me pictures of like a foot of snow and like gas stations packed. Crazy. What is up, Connor?
Hey, Connor.
So anything else going on? It's a pretty light news week.
I told you in the chat, I tried to prepare for tonight's show, and I went to Google News search for DC Comics, and I didn't make it past the headlines. I was just like, I'm done.
I watched another YouTuber for probably 5 minutes before I had enough talk about I guess the DC solicitations came out today, and he was doing the numbers, and I think it's 48%. There's 56 issues, 48% are Batman in a team book or like a Batman character, Nightwing, and so forth.
I mean, I like Batman, but come on.
Yeah, and they're doing a lot of switching out the old characters for new, like the Aquaman series where he's passing the torch.
Yep.
I didn't know Aquaman was going to be a stay-at-home dad. That's like a weird twist. And I think he's Superboy or Superman. John's going to be teaming up with Nightwing, which was something as Clark Kent asked Nightwing to do. So, like that guy, the guy I watched said, Thinking Critical, it's going to be a couple issues of Nightwing telling the reader how awesome Superman is, the new one.
Right.
So, what is up, Mars Comics? Good to see you.
How's it going, everyone?
I actually got to go get a back issue haul this week, and I'm excited because I actually picked up something you mentioned, I think, pre-show last week. I picked up about 7-8 issues of Checkmate. I'm going to give it a whirl.
Yeah.
And they actually have a lot of cool characters. Like I saw Tasmanian Devil, Crimson Fox, Mr. Terrific, and Green Lantern from the JSA. So I think it could be a fun series. And I did get books for Dollar Bin Trolls finally.
Did you?
So,
I still need to get mine.
You know, if you're not thinking about it, you just go look at dollar bins, whatever. You see 90s theme books constantly. Like, you can't look through a dollar box without seeing them. When you need them for a show, they're nowhere.
Yep.
Nowhere. Like, about the only one I was seeing was that gold Spider-Man with Venom on it. That's a key. I don't know what it's key of, but yeah.
First,
I mean, not in dollar bins.
And weighing.
Yeah, I was just seeing that book like on the wall and the price is marked and seeing that everywhere.
Nice.
White Shadow. Thanks for coming by. Good to see you.
Hey, White Shadow.
So if you guys don't have any news, we could jump into the review early.
Sounds good.
I think we need to. Tim, when you picked this story, and you said we're gonna do 3 issues tonight, it was like, okay, usually 2 issues works well, but okay, we can do 3. You didn't tell us they were like double size issues.
Well, like I said, I've been picking stories I remember were good, but it's been so long since I read them, they'd be new to me again. And I thought this was a 2-part, because usually these Prestige, you don't get 3-4 part stories. You know what I mean? To talk about it real quick,
a 3-hour read.
This is an Elseworlds we're doing tonight, Prestige format called The Nail. It's written by Dave's favorite Green Lantern, Alan Davis. But no, I thought in the front of these,
Grant.
Yeah, because sometimes in the front of these they'll talk about the book, and I thought this book had it because I remember reading about it. But the premise of this Elseworlds is basically a Justice League story where Superman had never existed.
Yeah.
And then they just take it from there, which if I didn't know that going in, you wouldn't necessarily guess that's what the premise was. You know what I mean? They didn't put a emphasis on that. But that
I didn't know that, but I picked up on it. Yeah.
The
it was
whole
like
basis
there's somebody missing.
Yeah, it's like basically a what if, what would happen to the Justice League if Superman hadn't been around.
Right.
Sure. It's called The Nail. It's called The Nail for a reason that happens on the very first page. And essentially that there's a nail in Jonathan Kent's truck, which is why he and Martha didn't go out, why they don't discover this baby rocketed from Krypton. But the gist of the nail really is never mentioned again.
Yeah, there's like a brief poem. We'll get to the first page in a second. We have a special intro.
Yeah, because that wasn't the only name that was.
Yeah, I thought, like I said, I thought that thesis for it was in the front of the book because you almost kind of need to know that was the thinking to fully grasp the story in a way. I mean, it's good if you don't know that,
right?
But I think it adds a layer. So we will start off with Dave taking issue 1, but we do have a special intro to the first page prepared by Dave. So let's jump in.
Wow.
All right. I think my internet connection's a little slow, but
yeah, I think so. It was
it cut off.
That was too hot of action for your internet,
right?
That last panel had the you couldn't quite see it, the rocket flying by as they were going in.
Yeah,
right.
There was fire in the sky that night.
Dave, do you have it pulled up on your laptop that you can share?
Yeah, give me a second.
I didn't even think about that till now. There we go.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right.
See, like there's the little poem next to the nail.
Yes. For want of a nail, the shoe was lost. For want of a shoe, the horse was lost. For want of a horse, the knight was lost. And for want of a knight, the battle was lost. So it was a kingdom was lost for the want of a nail. And if you think through that poem by the end of the story, it kind of makes sense. So yes, so I was quite surprised when Tim suggested this story, and I started reading it today. And well, it started off with Ma and Pa Kent getting a little time alone. So yes, the nail in the tire prevents them from recovering the rocket ship that we all know, right?
On this parallel Earth, they haven't given hope of having a baby yet.
Right. So okay, so it flashes over to Metropolis, present day, and we learn that Lex Luthor is the mayor of Metropolis. And not only that, he has enacted, he's actually made Metropolis incredibly successful economically. There's no crime. But part of the way that he has done it is by executing what they suspect could actually be unconstitutional laws, outlawing all metahumans. And so that is how they have been able to, and lots of technology as well. It's like a full Big Brother state. So, but that's how they've been able to wipe out crime, and people seem pretty happy. We move on, and Perry White, yeah, and Jimmy Olsen here are doing an interview. Perry's actually interviewing Jimmy, and we learn that Jimmy is kind of a reformed metahuman. He was originally the Red Devil, then he was Turtle Boy, and finally Elastic Lad. And he basically is saying, yeah, it was misguided of him. He was trying to emulate his childhood heroes, but after joining the JLA, he discovered that it's all kind of a farce, and that the real heroes are just, the police and firefighters and that sort of thing. And he goes on to explain that basically the original superheroes were just normal humans. Okay. And we've got this nice flashback to the Golden Age heroes.
It's interesting, they are kind of showing this continuity is pretty much exactly like the one we know, minus Superman.
Exactly. Yes. Things really don't deviate that much from the DCU that we know. At least up until this point. But so after the villains were kind of, they were originally formed for the war, but after that, then they would fight villains kind of in the shadows, basically. And you can see that here. I think this is Ragman fighting like one of Gorilla Grodd's guys. And they kept it out of the spotlight for the public to see. Until they no longer could. And that's when problems started, because when the battle started spilling out into the streets, it just started to expose that there's a greater problem here. And eventually, what's his name? Amazo?
Yep.
Was attacking them one time. And the entire Justice League, it took him to take down, he's an android, that can adapt and mimic all of their powers upon first meeting them. And well, he actually ended up, as we see here, breaking Green Arrow. And the Justice League, I guess, kind of just moved on. And it turns out he didn't die, but he did lose a limb here, as we see. And Perry White is also interviewing him as well. And he's very upset and angry. And as we can see here, look at him. And he blames the Justice League. He said that they weren't there for him in the end, and that he blames all of this on the metahumans, and goes so far as to say it's a conspiracy that the metahumans are alien invaders. The other thing that we learn is that this big event occurred, and they're looking at Green Arrow. But if we scroll back here, notice who was there with him. was also Hawkman. And while they don't mention anything else in these scenes, we learn very quickly here that Hawkman actually died in that fight. And Hawkwoman's like, you guys, like, why aren't they even talking about that? So the Justice League is watching these events unfold on TV, and they're having this discussion amongst themselves as to like the hate that is building against metahumans and these superheroes. Basically kind of like a prejudice against the aliens that have come here to help. And
it's like xenophobia and metahuman phobia rolled into one.
Exactly. And they want like kind of a reliance more on humans, right? Like pure blood humans, as they call it. And that includes even Aquaman, who is not pure blood, as they would call, because he's half Atlantean. And so it's interesting because you've got Hawkwoman, who's an alien. Green Lantern is a space cop, so they don't view him equally either. You've got Martian Manhunter from Mars. Flash is a metahuman. Aquaman is half Atlantean. You do have the Atom here, but and Wonder Woman is Amazonian, and they're not sure if Batman is truly a demon or not, which is funny.
Yeah.
But because of this dynamic, they all have a different take on things, and they begin to argue a bit, actually. Wonder Woman's trying to hold the peace. Batman's not having any of it. He's like, I just want to, he's like, I just want to take out criminals. I don't care about the press, you know? And Hawkwoman is really actually quite upset. And she's like, I'm over this. Like, if this is the way people want to act, I'm done. Meanwhile,
makes sense. It ain't her world. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. It's not her world. And, you know, I think Aquaman too is kind of like over it. But Green Lantern actually does have a plan, and Batman for once seems to support him, at least initially. And his plan is basically that they need to get their story out. They need the world to see that they are here for everyone, and it's not us against them. And so they bring on an alternate version of Lois Lane with the worst haircut I've ever seen. Wow. But they bring her on to do a little damage control, and she's like, hey, look, I'll write your story, but it's going to be my story, not your story. I'm not here to help you. I'm just here to tell the truth.
You should find this part interesting, like a different version of the Outsiders.
Yes. So what we get Black Canary, we learn, actually formed the Outsiders with Green Arrow in an attempt to help Green Arrow kind of come to terms with the events that have occurred. But it didn't work. He still got very angry and bitter, I guess. But so that's left Black Canary here as the leader of the Outsiders. The first thing I noticed is Shade is in the Outsiders. I don't think I recall him being in it before. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah. Black Lightning, Katana, and Geoforce. And so we've got this kind of alternate Outsiders team, and they were formed truly to be an outsider of the Justice League. And they even had this kind of like protocol where they are there to support each other as teammates, but they won't get involved, which is kind of interesting. So it's kind of like the opposite of the Justice League in that manner. Let's see, where do we go? Okay, so now we've got Lois. She's still talking to the team, and Batman is just like, yeah, I'm done. And they're trying to talk to Batman saying, hey, this is part of the problem with the way you're behaving. Like, people need to get to know you. And he's just like, yeah, no, he's not having any of it. At that point, he and Green Lantern start to get into a little spat. The whole team is arguing at this point and falling apart. We flash over to Catwoman, who is in with a psychiatrist, I think, at Arkham. And she's kind of like doing her flirty thing, just messing with them. And there's an explosion at Arkham. We see this kind of energy blast, and it's none other than the Joker. As we're going to learn, these are actually I'll leave that up for the next person. But he's got these laser things on his hands that can blast these holes in things. Breaks out everyone from Arkham Asylum. We see the whole rogues gallery there. And while the Justice League is arguing over this, let's see, Batman gets a call from Robin saying there's a crisis over at Arkham. So Batman takes off. It ends the conversation at the Justice League. And Green Lantern takes Lois Lane out of there and says, don't worry about Batman. We still got to do this, right?
He like immediately gives up a secret to her that Batman's human.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
He kind of slipped and she's like, oh, so he is human. And he's like, oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, how? Betraying Batman again.
Yep. So this is an interesting set of scenes. We see the heroes go off in pairs. Wonder Woman can fly. And Martian Manhunter, they're having this discussion, and basically Martian Manhunter's like, the best thing for me right now, I can do invisibility. I'm just going to fade off and kind of ignore the world for a bit. So he's going to slip out of sight. He's done with the League.
I think that's the best superpower, to be able to turn invisible and pass through walls.
Yeah.
If you could apply that to your vehicle, it would make everyday life so much better.
Yeah. And then we've got the Flash and the Atom. They're kind of going back to their normal everyday life, just kind of admitting that they can blend in a little easier because they are human. Meanwhile, you've got Aquaman and Hawkwoman. The two of them both equally agreeing to kind of part ways. Aquaman's on his way back to Atlantis. He's done with it. And Hawkwoman is like, yeah, I guess I'll kind of go do my own thing too. So the League is beginning to split up here. We're seeing the fractures start.
To be fair, though, about every third issue that Aquaman's in the Justice League, he's like, I don't care. I'm going back to Atlantis.
Yeah,
That's like his thing. Like, I have a whole kingdom.
Right. Then we get another team involved here. This is kind of cool. We get the Doom Patrol. And so let's see what's happening with them. I forget. Oh, they're in there talking about how the fact that they haven't had any kind of mission in a while. So the world really shouldn't be looking at them as like the problem because they've been so kind of hidden for a while. As that happens, though, this gas shows up out of nowhere and they all start to pass out, but it causes what's her name?
Elastigirl.
To kind of lose control of her powers. She grows big and her foot goes out the window, causing enough ventilation that they are able to recover. At that point, then Negative Man releases his kind of alien counterpart, and this gas cloud comes to life and stabs him through the chest. What's his name here? The robot guy runs in what's that?
Robot Man,
yeah. He runs in and his suit begins to turn to acid. And that's where these guys show up in these armored suits and take them prisoner, we assume. At the same time, back at Arkham, there is this force field around this dome around Arkham, and it will only allow the Bat family in there. So Batman, Batgirl, and Robin. Batman tells Batgirl and Robin, you guys know you cannot come in. I'm going in alone. I'm going to deal with this. So he goes in there. At the same time, Green Lantern's back at his apartment, powering up his ring, and he notices something feels weird. It seems to be like the charge isn't quite right. So at the same time, he gets word that Sinestro is attacking this space freighter. So he runs off to see what's going on, smacks into this energy force field that appears to be surrounding the entire Earth. Here, it turns out it was Star Sapphire who actually made the call about Sinestro attacking. It wasn't real. She was just trying to get Hal's attention so that he would become alerted to the fact that there is a bubble force field around the Earth. she doesn't really care about fixing it all. She's kind of a criminal, so she kind of darts off. She's like, yeah, I just called you here so that you could deal with it. I'm off. See ya. Gives him a kiss, and she takes off. And now it's Hal's problem to deal with this force field thing, which I thought was kind of funny. He also finds Adam Strange caught between the layers of the force field. He's thinking that when his technology beam ported him over to Earth, that he got caught somehow in between and died. So Hal basically lights up the field with in green, hoping to get the Guardian's attention back on Oa, because he can't even get a signal out through this thing. And
it's
he realizes
absorbing his ring energy.
It's absorbing his ring energy, and he realizes that's why he was having a problem charging his ring to the central power battery. Okay, back at Arkham, you can see that the Joker has already taken out several of the villains, including Killer Croc and Clayface. With these gadgets he's got on. He's forcing the different criminals to fight and promising that the last one standing will be allowed to live and will as his slave. And so Catwoman's she comes out on top, but she's like, I'm never gonna be your slave. She throws this knife at him, and with that, the Joker's like, okay, but he zaps her. He's like, I'm not having any of that. At that point, Batman swoops in. The Joker is able, using these gadgets he's got, to take control of the Batman and hold him in place. At that moment, Batgirl and Robin, they didn't listen. They come jumping in, thinking they're going to save Batman. Batman's telling them, get out of here. The Joker captures them as well in these energy beams. And he's threatening to crush the Batman. So I guess with this energy, he can actually condense it down to crush them. At this point, he tells the Batman, yeah, I'm insane. And, I am here to punish you, but, I want you to see what's going to happen first. And he begins to crush Robin and Batgirl. And you can see it here on Batman's face. He's freaked. He's like, no. And then the Joker does it again. And you can see all you get to see is the look on Batman's face. But what the Joker is doing is he's basically just tearing them apart right in front of Batman. And the other thing too is he's holding Batman's eyes open, forcing him to watch this just a few feet away from him, unable to help. Pretty twisted, even for the Joker. Flash over to Warworld, and there's been this big explosion. I guess they were trying to send some spies over to Earth, and I'm assuming that when they hit the force field, it caused this blowback and it caused an explosion, but they don't fully understand that yet. And Darkseid is convinced that it's Mr. Miracle and Big Barda, and their enemies that somehow cause some kind of terrorist act. And Mr. Miracle's like, we're not spies. We were just trying to break free some of our people, right? It's like, well, I guess that does kind of make you a spy, right? But they weren't responsible for the explosion. So at that point, Metron shows up, not Metarog, but Metron. And is like, Darkseid, you're an idiot. These guys did not cause the explosion. I'm here to set you straight. And Darkseid's like, just blast him with his Omega beams. He's like, no. He's like, I don't want to hear it. They attacked us, and now we're going to war.
Darkseid's like, hey, I think New Genesis attacked us. Some of their people are here.
Yep.
And then another one shows up like, hey, I'm from New Genesis, but we're not invading your land.
Right. So Darkseid's like, nope, it's war. And Apocalypse goes to war with New Genesis, which is a big deal. I mean, these are two very, very advanced civilizations.
All because Hal couldn't get rid of that energy shield.
Oh!
I'm just joking.
Meanwhile, Catwoman also witnessed the events. She's able to distract Joker enough so that Batman is able to break both of his gadgets. he starts beating on the Joker, and on top of this building, and as we can see down below are all the journalists watching this happen. And he actually ends up in the battle killing the Joker, or at least that's what we're led to believe. It's still not clear to me whether he actually killed him or not, but it certainly looks like he did.
If he
and
didn't,
they got it.
Yeah, what happens next does.
Well, and it could be what happens next is what actually kills the Joker, but we'll have to wait for Ryan for that one. All right.
So interesting enough, you know, with Batman supposedly killing the Joker, that was witnessed by so many people, and that's going to play into issue number 2 and some future storylines here. But as we start off the second issue, we're in Metropolis, and Lois Lane is at a traffic checkpoint, and she sees a newscast on WGBS saying that Batman has killed the entire staff and inmates of Arkham Asylum. So obviously this is fueling even more that anti-hero rage that's being felt by society. We cut to the Batcave. Batman is returning carrying an unconscious Selina Kyle. Alfred is inquiring about Batgirl and Robin, and Batman, obviously just distraught, tells him that Batgirl and Robin are dead. So that takes us to the Justice League of America headquarters, and the League decides that the deaths at Arkham are part of an emerging anti-metahuman movement and decide to discreetly try to find out who or what is exactly behind this. Flash checks out various criminal headquarters and discovers that they've been destroyed. During his exploratory run, Flash happens upon Amazo, who's fighting Ra's al Ghul. He defeats Amazo. Ra's tells Flash that he and the League are facing a master strategist who will pit others against them. So Adam breaks into the Thinker's home. He fights his way in past all these automated defenses and eventually finds the Thinker, but it's the Thinker's dead body. That takes us to Metropolis, where Metamorpho kills Perry White. So Jimmy Olsen tells Lois Perry was about to reveal the location of a secret alien research facility, and guess where that just happens to be at? Outside of Smallville, Kansas. Green Lantern takes out Count Vertigo and Major Disaster. And elsewhere, the Outsiders find Simon Stagg and Java dead. They find this fortress, like a fortress of solitude, and are taken down at super speed. So Lois tours the alien research facility as she's leaving. One of the scientists gives her a business card for the Kent Farms with the words, "The Truth," written on it.
It's funny, you see Star Sapphire's already been apprehended.
Yeah, I saw that she was in there already. So in the street, Metamorpho fights 3 armored soldiers. Martian Manhunter involves himself fighting with Metamorpho. As Metamorpho dies, the Manhunter says that he was forced to do what he had to do. So once again, we have another death that's been witnessed by people. Manhunter leaps into the LexCorp building to find a star-shaped creature that blasts him from the shadows.
Is it Starro?
That's certainly what you'd be led to believe. And at the Kent farm, Lois is told that the alien research facility is actually used for experimentation on aliens, something that they didn't tell her or disclose to her when she was touring it. So the truth has come out, and she was led into, I should say, at that research facility too, one person who's on the side with the heroes that's trying to help Lois uncover what's really going on is Lana Lang. So that's how we wrap up issue 2.
Yeah, there's the Starro looking thing.
Yeah. And it did show that
you went fast, Lasso. I couldn't keep up.
Sorry, I try to make notes and
it's fine.
One note of interest, it did show the Green Lantern Corps is preoccupied with the Apocalypse New Genesis War, but they're aware of Hal, and the Guardians are basically like, screw him. He's on his own. We can't spare a single of these thousands of lanterns. But so jumping into book 3, I think Tony would have liked this if he was here. Give you a second to catch up. But we see, I'm not sure if this is, what do you call it? What's that council of people you always see talking about the universe? If it's supposed to be that version of this.
Yeah, I don't
but
know.
You know what I'm talking about? Where
Yeah.
it's always like a guardian and the Phantom Stranger. And
Yeah.
But because I think they make a reference like that is what this council is. But we have Dr. Fate, the Phantom Stranger, and Deadman, and the Demon all talking about what's going on, and they're getting ready to intervene. And that's when the Spectre shows up and is like, nope, like, I'm not going to allow that. Eartha, we're here to stop things outside the natural order, but what's going on is part of the natural order. So if humanity's to survive, they're going to have to do it on their own. And we flash to Wonder Woman. Like, we've been seeing all the stuff that Lasso referenced was set up in a way that makes the Justice League look bad. If you know what I'm saying, it looks like they killed somebody. It looks like, for instance, she's seeing Green Lantern was following the signal to two villains, but it's the news footage is made to look like Green Lantern just attacked France.
Yeah.
And she wants to speak with the president, and basically they kind of make a ist comment about Wonder Woman that she isn't quite human, and she's like, I came here to promote justice and freedom for all, and I failed. So she leaves the White House and immediately destroys it in an act of vengeance. No, I'm just playing. But it's made to look like, Wonder Woman just destroyed the White House and killed the president.
Don't get Diana angry, man.
Yeah. She immediately gets attacked by the Metal Men of this universe, and she handily beats them, but then gets blindsided by what looks to be a Superman-ish type being that we haven't seen yet. Flash forward, and we see Lex is actually unveiling these as new super robots, which is ironic. He doesn't want superheroes or super protectors in his city, but super robots are okay. And why would you need them if you didn't have that in your city? He calls the Liberators. We flash over to Hawkwoman, basically looking at her in Carter's museum and seeing alien scum spray painted over Carter's, I guess, gravestone, maybe like memorial plaque. And she's like, I'm leaving, like, I don't need this. She flies up to her pretty cool looking spaceship that I guess is just hovering. And, of course, being a hero, she notices a fire. And at first she's like, this ain't my concern. But with her hawk eyes, sees a mother and baby. So she immediately flies down, rescues them. And the police start to pull guns on them. And the people are like, what are you doing? Like, they just saved my wife and kids. And everybody's sort of a touching moment. Like, you're going to have to go through me. And immediately one of those liberators basically knocks her out and tells the people to disperse. So we flash to the Batcave, and we see Batman is basically deciphering the blueprints on the weapons the Joker had, and he's come to the conclusion they're from their Kryptonian weapons.
Which is interesting because they're saying there's no Krypton. Those that even know of Krypton know that they don't think there's any survivors of it.
Exactly. And, there's some touching moment here. Basically, Catwoman slowly bringing him back. I think in Ryan's episode, for some reason, she even dressed up as Robin to try and coax him out of his trance, which I thought was a little weird.
Yeah.
But, she's trying to get Batman back.
Kyle as Robin.
Yeah, that's what's important.
It's a key issue.
So then we see Green Lantern actually sort of making a desperation, a Hail Mary attack on that research facility we saw Lois at. The regular guards can't hurt him. The Liberators attack. And he manages to pull a mask off of one. It actually sort of looks like a Bizarro.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
With the Brainiac symbol, right?
Yeah. And we see Lois and Jimmy run into each other when Lois is trying to investigate Luther. And Luther's just sort of a vegetable, and we see the shadow of the what I thought was going to be a Starro. And it's some sort of weird, I don't even know the word for that. Oh man, I'm trying to think of a anime reference, and I can't think of the word they use for this.
Well, say the name, what they call it.
That's what I'm trying to think. Oh, what they call it?
Yeah.
They call it crypto.
Yeah. Certainly don't look like a dog to me.
Yeah. And that's when Jimmy's sort of talking, and all of a sudden he heat visions Lois is gone and says, "I'm in control here." So then we flash forward to the back to that Kansas facility, and we see Flash has just vibrated through layers and layers with the Atom, and they're basically making a Hail Mary play to get the Justice League out of stasis, and they immediately get caught by the Protectors. But also we see Batman and what appears to be Batwoman, Selena Kyle in a Batwoman outfit, and they each have one of the repaired gauntlets that the Joker had. And Batman's mad, like, it took me hours evading security by stealth to get here, and you bozos rush in. So then basically we get an explanation from Jimmy. They had you see Superman's rocket, and they had DNA from there that they were trying to mix with humans, and it wasn't working, and that's what we see what this crypto is. But I guess because Jimmy had all these different mutations and things happen to him already, he was able to withstand it. And that's when we find out this ain't really Jimmy. Him and the dog sort of merge, and he's basically the Eradicator, and he's basically trying to bring what the Eradicator always does. It's there to protect Kryptonians and Krypton. It's trying to respawn Krypton using Kryptonian DNA on Earth. That's what all these experiments are about. Why he's trying to get rid of the metahumans, the resistance, all that. So we flash back to the research lab. Everybody's fighting. The Atom has Flash throw him into the vents. And that's when the Eradicator shows up and basically easily takes out everybody, takes the Flash down, takes Martian Manhunter, knocks Wonder Woman down, faces Green Lantern, knocks him down. And that's when Batman shows up. And they had mentioned that Batman was fighting harder than anybody. He hits him with the gun, and he's like, you think I would give Joker technology that could hurt me? And he starts to do to Batwoman what had happened earlier. And Batman's punches are just bouncing off his face. You can see Batman's fist getting bloodied. He's like, you can't hurt me. And that's when Hal decides to supercharge Batman with the ring. So now Batman's, basically has super punches. All in all, it ain't enough. They crash down to the ground, and that's where we see what's going to become the #1 Halloween costume next year, overtaking Squid Game. We see Amish Superman show up. And that's basically, we find out, he grabs the Eradicator. The Eradicator hits him with a beam, immediately recognizes, this is Kal-El. When the nail was put into John Kent's car, it looks like somebody did find him. Jimmy and them got a hold of Lex Luthor got a hold of the empty spaceship, but Kyle survived.
Does Kansas have an Amish population?
St. Louis does, so I'm assuming they do.
Okay. Wisconsin does, so yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
I would assume they're mainly Midwest. I mean, I don't know a lot about them, but I would assume they're mainly Midwest farm people.
A lot of them are in Pennsylvania, I know. That's the Pennsylvania Dutch. But okay.
Basically, Superman's just talking to his Amish parents, and the Eradicator's like, "You're brainwashed," and vaporizes him right in front of Superman. Pretty wild. So that sets Superman off, and they just have a pretty epic battle. Huge explosions, big energy just going off. And basically, they figure out, because this is the Eradicator in Jimmy's body, that Jimmy's body could handle the Kryptonian DNA for a little bit, but against a sustained fight with Superman, it's not going to work. And Superman stops them, and basically it just, what happens is it overloads Jimmy's body, and he turns to dust right in front of Superman. And that's pretty much the end. They got everybody out. The Green Lantern Corps shows up a little too late. And it's sort of like, that field disappeared as soon as we got there. And the Atom's like, "Hey, wait a minute. That's what I was doing off screen." And we see, the new Superman, new to this universe, grieving over his parents. And, of course, Ma and Pa Ken, who are helping, experimented on superhumans, or, rehabbing supers. They're taking him in. And that's where this book ends. And we do get a brief glance at the very end of a Justice League with a Superman.
Yep.
So it's pretty interesting. Like I said, the basis was what happens to the Justice League without Superman.
Stop on that image. Scroll down just a touch more. Notice. No. Yeah. Okay. Right there. The last thing we see is a nail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is. This was so well received and did well. There is a sequel to it.
Yep.
And it's called Another Nail.
So just a few thoughts about this story. I own the trade paperback to this, so I had read this. It's been a while since I have read this. I thought the story held up well. I do think that moment of the Eradicator just essentially disintegrating Kal-El's Amish parents was still, even I remember the first time I read it, but even in the reread, that is very wow.
From zero to crazy in a second.
Yeah, exactly. Also, what I kind of like about this book too, and I think it's another reason why it's a little bit longer, each issue's a little bit longer than normal, is because every character gets their own splash page somewhere in the course of the 3 issues. I liked the softening, how the thing that Hawkwoman didn't like was the people on this earth, and it was the people that softened her in the end that had her stay. That was perfect to, you needed some people on their side, and I think she was the perfect character to have that allegiance. That was such a good matching for that, because it isn't so expected. It would have been easy for her to just leave.
Yeah.
But overall, I really enjoyed it. Now, I have not read Another Nail, so I'm looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, we were talking about it. We might knock that out next week, because our next 2 stories are really big stories. For those that don't know, we're about to start the Sinestro Corp War in Green Lantern, which I was doing the math. I think that's 20 chapters. So even if we do 4 a show, at least 5 weeks. And then I don't know exactly how big Ryan's story is, but I know the issues were like 80 pages long back then. We're jumping into
it wasn't
Crisis on Earth X after that.
No, it's
80 pages of the
Earth
gods.
Prime, I'm sorry.
No, my story actually doesn't have any Wonder Woman in it that I remember. But my story, if we get it, maybe we'll just end up skipping it. But
no, I think it's a good story, and we don't do a lot of older stuff.
It's the 20th anniversary of the yearly JLA JSA team up, and I think it was the last one that ever happened, because Crisis would take place, so this wouldn't happen again. It's the last one. So not only is it the JLA and the JSA, but in this one, they managed to incorporate the All-Star Squadron, who, of course, their stories take place in the 1940s during World War II, but they found a way to incorporate that. So it's 5 issues, and it's wove through Justice League of America and All-Star Squadron. So it's like three JLA stories, 3 JLA issues and 2 All-Star Squadron issues.
Yeah, but 5 issues from the 70s is equivalent to like what, 3 graphic novels now?
This is mid 80s.
No.
They were already starting to cut back. So
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying we're gonna have some bigger stories coming up. So yeah, it's gonna be fun on this channel. Real quick before we give our grades, just for everyone to know, next week we will be on the Magic Lasso channel. And then after that onto Tony Fett's, and everyone's link is in the description with official fanboy bios, so you could get to learn about each member. So definitely check out the description. Let's give our
match. If you don't like the bio that your person has, just assign it to someone else.
You might have the best one out of everybody. Yours is so perfect.
I read mine.
So let's give our fanboy 5-point review. Let's start with Dave, and we'll just go clockwise.
I'll give this one a 3.5. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought the art was decent. I really enjoyed the story. I thought there was a good mystery to it, again, just like the previous week. And so I enjoyed trying to. I was really paying close attention to like every panel to see what characters were there or not there. And I was starting to pick up pretty early. I'm like, Superman isn't, where is he? And because I remember like that whole intro with Ma and Pa Kent, I didn't actually pick up that they missed the spaceship. I saw the spaceship, but I wasn't putting 2 and 2 together at the time until you mentioned that, Tim.
Yeah, he even says he's like, not like anything important's happening tonight.
Right, right.
You know?
But I was just so fixated on, you know, the but
He was fixated on them getting their chores done.
Yes, getting
Dave's
chores.
like, I never knew I had a fetish for Ma and Pa Kent.
Well,
I didn't make it past that first page. I'm like, Tim, what did you have us read?
I hadn't read it yet, and I'm like, do they? Like, what? It's like, I thought Superman wasn't in the story. What's he mean, Ma and Pa Kent at the beginning?
But no, I thought it was kind of interesting. I thought the story was very timely, actually, just considering just current events and whatnot. There was a lot of parallels, I thought, to some of the themes. So it was pretty good.
All right, Ryan, how about you?
So I'll give my score last. A couple other comments that I haven't added in already. I do really like that in the long run, some things are just meant to be. And, you know, Superman being associated with Ma and Pa Kent, it's meant to be. Kal-El becoming Superman is meant to be. Him being part of the Justice League, it's just meant to be. There's just some things that are meant to be. That being said, too, you know, it's called a JLA story, but really it has so many more characters than just the JLA. And the only thing that I can kind of think of as a little bit of a negative is sometimes they're doing so much. And don't get me wrong, the stuff with the Outsiders and the Doom Patrol, I found it very interesting.
Well, real quick, thinking back on that, now we know what that gas was that attacked the Doom Patrol. It was the mind-controlled metamorpho that the Outsiders were looking for.
Sure.
Oh.
Yeah. And you know, I thought it's interesting, too, that, you know, the Outsiders were meant to be, even if Batman isn't the one to form him. And I thought it was, you know, I was looking for Black Canary when I reread this, too, going, where is she? She should be with the League. And so I'm happy to see these people pop up. Maybe the slowest of everything was the Apocalypse stuff for me. But
I
still,
was wondering if that was going to pay off, you know.
Yeah. So it's much more than just a JLA story. I did like that seeing Selena Kyle in the Batwoman outfit, which was the traditional Batwoman outfit that was used in main continuity.
Yeah.
Overall, I really liked it. I thought it had great rereadability. So I still enjoyed it, reading it all these years later. And I'm going to do 4 out of 5.
Awesome. Well, for me, you know, I'm a huge Superman buff. I do a show with Retrotigo called The Phantom Zone, and a lot of people know these Elseworlds or what if stories. We have what if Superman landed in Russia? What if Superman landed in Britain? What if, Krypton exploded and Superman didn't make it? And this wasn't a Superman story, but it really was. Mm-hmm. It was what if Superman didn't, came to Earth but didn't get picked up by the Kents?
Yeah.
Because we got to see all of Superman's immediate family, what the Kents are doing, Lana Lang, Lois, Jimmy, Perry, Lex Luthor, who's even without Superman was still a xenophobe. A lot of people attribute, if Superman didn't show up, I would have did this, this, and this. You could say maybe he was mildly more successful, but still the same Lex with the same issues. And for me, we'd have to take continuity out of the score because this isn't Elseworlds. Although on that note, they really kept true to that 70s vibe of that league, and you got to see where most of the league was. Like Elongated Man was at the Kents, Firestorm was captured. You did pretty much see that whole 70s league. So I'd probably just give those other 4 categories a 4. Really good. We've mentioned how many characters, how many stories in 3 issues could manage all those characters and do them all justice. The only thing that didn't get a lot of light was New Genesis and Apocalypse. It's almost like the New Genesis thing happened just to explain the Green Lantern Corps not coming to help. That was almost the only reason
they
for that.
should have almost done a tie-in, like a Green Lantern Corps, the Nail tie-in or something, right?
Well, you could have done a Doom Patrol tie-in. You could have done an Outsiders tie-in.
Yeah.
But once again, too, for those that are wondering, these books were published, about 2004, 2005, somewhere in that range?
It said 1998.
98, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it said on the...
Yep, August 1998 is issue 1.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. So this was early on in the Elseworlds game.
Yeah.
I don't know about early.
Well, I mean, they had done some before, but around this time, they really started pumping them out.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember them coming out in the early 90s.
Yeah. I think, wasn't the Cult? Something like that. The Cult was the very first one, which was the 80s.
I remember it was when all of the annuals were Elseworlds in the early 90s. Because by 98, I wasn't collecting anymore. So
Another Nail was 2004.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, a really good story. I love these little stories that they're not a crisis. They're not huge keys or anything like that, but they're just really good stories that, for me, you feel like you get your money's worth out of them. Not everything has to be the biggest thing. But with that said, let's shout out our channels and do a book show if you have something to show off, and we'll wrap this up. And we'll just go in the same order. What's going on with your channel, Dave?
Not too much recently. I've been busy, have had a lot of other things to do, and I just, to be honest, I haven't been collecting very many comics lately. So, but
I've been in the same boat. I think I've done 2 videos, and
yeah. So, but I mean, that's the point of the channel, is just to document my collection. So if I'm not collecting as much right now, that's kind of where it's at. But I am actually, what I've been doing, one of the things I've been busy with is, see all those behind me? You can't see it here, but right up behind my chair here, I'm about there. I've been going through and putting in reorganizing all of my books from the last year. So it's had me going through all of these boxes, and it's kept me very busy.
Yeah.
So, but that brings me into my book show. Because in going through them, I just finished my DC collection. I just got to my indies, and I actually am going to show an indie book here tonight, but you'll see why. I I think this was one Squatchy had sent me. This is Green Lanterns #1. From
I remember that.
Comics.
So
before there was
there
was an actual Green Lanterns, there was this one from Spoof Comics.
That's funny.
So
that's awesome.
There you go.
All right, Mr. Magic Lasso, what's going on your channel?
Sure. So this past week, I dropped 2 videos on my channel. On Tuesday, I did a video with some comic book editions that included AOK's from Varangian Vigilante. He found me some more foreign edition comic books that I just love. And fellow fanboy Tony Fett sent me some signed comic books too that he got at Baltimore Comic Con. So I did the unboxing on that on my channel earlier this week. That's on Tuesday's video. And then my bi-weekly series that I'm joined with Comics for Thomas and Cookie from Just a Little Podcast. It's called Cover By. And it was Marvel this past week, and Man-Thing was the subject. So, and we'll stay green in 2 weeks with the next Cover By. We'll do Swamp Thing just to give both characters equal time. And for my book show, I posted this on Instagram today because it's so timely. This is the official movie adaptation to the film Supergirl. The movie Supergirl, starring Helen Slater, was released in United States theaters on this day 37 years ago. So 1984, wow. It came out in the U.S. theaters. But one thing that I didn't show on Instagram that I'll show you, I've got my nice Comic Clear backing board on it. It has a photo of Helen Slater as Supergirl on the back cover. So I thought since today's the anniversary of the movie's U.S. release, this would be a good book show. And something else about the movie that I'll leave, since I know you love these fun facts that I have. Faye Dunaway ended up playing the villainous witch Selena in this movie. And Faye Dunaway's career was pretty much at an all-time low by this point. She had done this movie about Joan Crawford called Mommy Dearest, and it really tanked her career. No one in Hollywood wanted anything to do with her. But anyway, originally, they approached this specific actress that I'll tell you in a second to play this role, and she turned it down. But they wanted Dolly Parton.
Oh, man.
So
that's sort of like Nicolas Cage's Superman in Legendary What Ifs.
I'll tell you something, though. I think Supergirl, the movie, would have been so much different had Christopher Reeve not pulled his involvement from it, because he was supposed to be involved with this movie. And I think had he not pulled out, I mean, it was a last-minute script rewrite and everything. I think that it would have been so cool that would have been maybe one of our first theatrical movie crossovers, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, he's mentioned in the movie as being her cousin, and there's a poster of him that's on the back of a wall, and you know, Linda Lee or Linda Danvers or whatever, she acknowledges that that's Superman, you know. But I think it would have been so good had Christopher Reeve. I think it just would have been a different movie, and I think that it would have been received much better.
Yeah.
So now I have to ask, because one question immediately came to mind when I saw your Instagram post today.
Yeah.
How the heck did you even know that it was the 20th anniversary of the movie? Who keeps track of that?
You mean you don't have that reminder set on your phone?
Have you just been counting down the days?
Yeah. I mean, how many Helen Slater anniversaries does a fan have in a calendar year? Not that many. And Fanboys fell right on one. No, in all honesty, I saw someone else posted a couple of days ago. They posted, you know, this week in entertainment history, and they cover the entire week. And they said for Sunday, you know, the movie Supergirl was released, and I thought, I'm going to file that away for Sunday. And actually recall it, which was amazing enough.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
I guess that's a good enough excuse.
Now you know, and knowing's half the battle.
For my channel, I've been in a similar boat to Dave. I think I've only done like 2 videos in the last month and a half, and I haven't been buying as much. I've been really just focused on reading and enjoying my collection. I've been reading a lot of stuff I have, because to me that's sort of the point of collecting, right? To have it there to enjoy. And I'm not against, you know, buying comics. I'm sort of against getting newer stuff now and paying that much for it. But, you know, doing back issues was great. And I did have a haul Wednesday, I believe, or Friday on my channel.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping we're going to plan to do a Phantom Zone sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas, as far as what's going on with me. And of course, I will be on Fanboys. Hopefully, I don't see any reason for me to miss in the near future. So every week on our 4 channels with links in the description. So definitely check that out. And I'd like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. We won't see you all again until after the holiday. So I hope you all have safe travels and everything. And just a quick thing, I hadn't really planned a book show. I didn't get anything fancy this week, but I'd got this off channel of YouTube. And James Warlord was in the chat, made me think of it. This is the DC McFarlane Shriek action figure.
Neat.
Very cool.
Nice.
So yeah, thank you everyone for coming, for watching, everyone live, everyone on the replay. And remember, next week, Magic Lasso's channel. So make sure your sub notifications on, and we'll see you all next week.
Take care.
All right. Bye, Roy.